count of 3. 1, 2.
All right, JBell here. Here today with Ben. We're going to do a little Halloween 2018. But first, I'm going to blow the horn of Gondor here.
Okay. All right.
This is apparently Ben found his Nordic roots and bought himself this is a beer cup mug stein.
That's right. Yeah,
horn?
the Celtic festival.
Yeah.
So I guess they're the Celtic celebrating being conquered by the Vikings.
I think that you know what, I'm just gonna hold it. I think he probably paid a good penny for that. I'm just gonna hold on to the horn of Gondor for now. But like I said, we're gonna do Halloween 2018 today.
Damn right.
We saw that a couple weeks ago, right around Halloween, maybe a couple days after. I saw it twice because I liked it so much.
Yeah.
Spoilers. I really enjoyed the movie, but I'm big on. I think we're both big on horror films.
Yeah.
Maybe not you so much as slashers, but I'll let you speak for yourself.
Right.
I think we should probably just kind of preface everything with the discussion of Halloween, the series, and familiarity with it. I'm pretty darn familiar with it. I think I've seen everything except for Halloween 4.
Wow.
Which is the return of Michael Myers.
Right.
Which I only say I don't think I've seen it because I mix it up with 5.
Okay.
But basically everything that's been in theaters, I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed most of it. I don't think it's all great, but I certainly enjoyed most of it.
You don't say.
And I was very curious to see what a return to theaters would mean for Halloween. You see a lot of these reboot movies that aren't necessarily well thought out. That aren't necessarily inspired. Sometimes they're kind of cash grabs. Sometimes they're just kind of misfires. I mean, Halloween. This is like what, the 3rd reboot, 4th timeline.
Yeah, I mean,
for it.
News to the whole thing has been news to me.
Right, like Benning, I don't think was familiar with it at all. But this movie was a sequel to the 1978 movie, but ignored everything else, including I think it was 2009 reboot of that Rob Zombie did.
Yeah.
Which people seem to enjoy that first one. I didn't think it was too great. That second one. Oh boy. What a good time.
Steam and pie.
Pour yourself a nice beverage and watch that second Halloween movie. By the time Sherry Moon Zombie is riding a white horse, commanding Michael Myers, telling him what to do, I think you kind of know what you're in for at that point. Although, a fun thing, go on YouTube. Michael Myers in the Halloween movie kills a character named Joe Grizzly, who's a veteran horror actor who comes in for this weird semi-cameo deal. He's like this very flamboyant truck driver, and he goes and like takes a shit, and then Michael Myers kills him in the toilet. But it's just weird because this character gets a full name, a full like first and last name. He appears to be a character from another movie.
Just to kill him on the shitter.
Wow.
Okay.
He's like very flamboyant. He's boastful. He's the new paint job on my truck. Don't scratch it up. And even when Michael Myers comes to kill him, he's like, "Listen, I just ate a bunch of Mexican food. I'll be here for a while." Like he gets he's lines, right? And he talks shit to Michael Myers. I'm Joe Grizzly. We're gonna go for it or whatever. It's just really weird note. In a very weird movie. Anyways, that's a complete non sequitur. Let me turn it over to Ben. What did you, high level, give me kind of your, what were you thinking going into this? What were you expecting? What were you, what would you, when you saw the trailer for this, or when you heard this movie was coming out, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts were not much, to be honest, because like, I have basically no experience with the Halloween movies. Like I don't think I've watched before this one a single solitary one.
Is that
all
right?
The way through.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. Because the original ones, back in those days, the slasher movies just never did anything for me.
Wow.
Like
wow.
I never was interested in them. They couldn't keep my attention for very long.
Okay.
So yeah, I had never watched any of them all the way through. And when I saw they were releasing another one, I was thinking, kind of you're saying, it's just a cash grab. We're just going to reboot. This is going to be more of the same.
Yeah.
So I really went in expecting nothing. whatsoever.
Wow.
So it was a pleasant surprise for it to actually be. It was appropriate for modern 2018 flick. This was not. They had throwbacks,
right?
I imagine to the originals.
Yep.
Or I say originals. It sounds like there were about a dozen of them. So I don't know which one that would be. But
there's quite a few. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I went in with no expectations. At all. I didn't know about all of this. This train wreck of production that they've had for decades at this point. I had no idea any of that had happened.
Wow,
most of them I've never even seen. I think it's only the originals, which worked out all right since this kind of, retconned all the way back to the original. So that was fine. That's all I'd seen. I hadn't seen any of that shit since then.
You missed the one where LL Cool J was facing off with Michael Myers, and then you missed the one where Busta Rhymes busted out fake kung fu on Michael Myers, and I mean straight up kicked his ass.
Yeah, you told me about this Bruce Lee shit he was pulling. Oh my god!
Whoa, boy! Mm-hmm. You missed the whole thing with the evil cult was trying to birth a Satan spawn through. You missed all that.
I somehow did.
Wow. I
feel my life is
you missed all that garbage.
Right.
Some of that was fun. Mm-hmm. Some of it maybe not so much fun.
Yeah.
But another weird note, the third Halloween movie actually doesn't even have Michael Myers in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's this. They wanted to do an anthology deal. So they have this weird movie that's like a paganist conspiracy, to bring on basically an apocalyptic event.
Because that story's never been told.
I mean, you say that it's really weird. It's kind of cool. I like the movie quite a bit. It's not what you expect going into it, and it's a John Carpenter movie, so it's out there.
Right.
There's some stuff in there that you're like, whoa, man, I wonder how they came up with this. And the music is kind of gnarly.
Yeah,
it's a very weird note to follow up a Michael Myers movie with.
Yeah,
but it's a cool little nugget to it. If you can get a hold of a cheap copy of that one, check that one out.
Okay.
I didn't know what to expect from this, and then I found out that Danny McBride was involved with the writing and production of this movie.
Right.
Danny McBride, veteran of the show, he was also in Alien Covenant.
Yes, oh yeah.
And chuckle, but we liked Danny McBride in Covenant. He was one of the people who escaped the performance unharmed. Who knows about his character?
Right.
And apparently he's a huge fan. And him and his, I think, two other guys got the rights to this, and they were writing the script, and they were trying to be faithful to the original movie. Mm-hmm. So they had this movie on loop in the background as they were writing. So they were taking little notes and cues from the original, as well as writing their own kind of unique follow-up tale on it. I mean, It kind of follows the same formula. You're talking about a slasher. Some dangerous person with weapon out in the wild amongst people stabbing people up. That's what it was going to be at some point, right?
Yeah.
But I was very encouraged that it was taking itself seriously.
Right.
And even the moments when it was kind of winking at the camera, or even some of the straight humorous moments, were appropriate for a horror movie. Mm-hmm. They were appropriate for a Halloween movie. They never dropped out the bottom, winked at the camera, and started mugging.
Yeah, right.
There was never a ridiculous sequence where something was so meta, it took you out of it, and you knew, okay, well, everyone's really going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Nobody squared up on Michael Myers and started fighting him. It was pretty clear. If Michael Myers was in the room, everyone was in danger, and it was super clear as soon as he became a threat in the world. It was not going to be contained until he was either back in jail or dead.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
And anybody could get it, right?
Yeah. I think McBride and I guess his team, whoever, they did such a cool job with updating it, but like you're saying, staying true to, I guess, the concept in and of itself. The first thing that I was thinking of to praise about it, something very simple. I'm surely not the only person to have said it, but the mask itself, the
Ugh.
updated mask. So that's something that from like the original movies I always found super corny.
Really?
It's like the very, very like flat white
mask.
It just looked silly to me.
Fair enough.
This freaking thing, that's frightening looking. And it's just little details. Like I don't know what it's the very realistic parts mixed in with what looks like a battered mannequin face. You know,
Sure.
I just think like from a simple thing, you have to get that right.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to make this movie, that face has to be right.
Right.
And they got it spot on. As far as I'm concerned, I think that mask was fantastic.
I'm gonna double down on that as well. I agree that the mask looked good. It looked appropriate for the film. You see in some of the other movies, they use different versions of that mask, and it's maybe too white. Or in the Rob Zombie movies, they made it like super chewed up, super nasty,
Right.
and I thought that was just a little too much. And if you go back and watch some of those old movies, it does kind of take you out of it. That this movie, it reminds you that this is just a stuntman in a mask, you know?
Right.
A stuntman in a white covered William Shatner mask, right? Which they made William Shatner mask. That's so like that lets you know when this
That's a
movie
thing.
was popular, right?
Uh-huh.
It lets you know what a relic of the '70s this thing kind of is. But yes, the mask was. It was nasty without being repulsive. Right? It was you saw it and you knew this was not right. Something was wrong, and it helped build this character of the Shape, this boogeyman.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think something else very early in the movie that we talked about that I think they did really well, and I still am not sure how I feel about the way it ended up, but when they were establishing like the rules that this movie was going to play by, it threw me for a loop right there, like close, not like right in the opening scene or anything, but very, very close when we made it clear that no one was off limits.
Right.
Not even little kids.
Not even the little kid.
Like that part, that was where I was thinking I might actually like this movie. And that sounds really, really insidious for me to say.
Right,
I think it sounds awful. Like, oh, what, we're killing kids. My kind of movie.
Right, I'm in. Let's buy in. Yeah.
Right? But no, what it said to me is they're going to push the envelope here. This isn't going to be more of the same. Like if you're going to open this movie basically telling me that young, old, male, female, this dude is just going to murder everything.
Right.
I was like, at that point, where are we going? Like, where?
Sure.
Is anything off limits?
Right.
Like, where are we going with this movie if that's on the table?
Yeah.
You know, and now there was a scene that we talked about later on where Michael walks by a screaming kid, like baby.
A baby.
Infant.
In a cradle.
You don't see the infant, you see the cradle, you hear the baby. And I'll be honest, like at the time I was like, he is going to murder this thing.
There's a party that's like, oh my god, he's going to kill that baby.
He's going to do it. Yeah, because you already opened up with that scene of just in the car killing that kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, they're really going to jump off the deep end right here.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
They didn't.
So I still to this day am not sure whether I like that or don't.
Okay.
Because that would have, I think the point you made was that would have made this a drastically different movie.
Yes.
Like if we're murdering infants, whether or not you see it, like maybe even if you just hear the crying stop.
Oh god.
It'd
be horrific.
Yeah, that becomes. I don't know. I'm not sure whether or not that version is better or not. In some ways, I feel like that's even. You want to talk about the boogeyman. If the boogeyman is killing infants,
now we're talking about something that's like
this dude's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like this guy, there's no code that this guy lives by, which is kind of like I feel like the backstory to this dude. He just murders for the sake of murdering. There's no like rhyme or reason to it. Right?
The series does posit, and even in this movie, they do say they bring back the. I can't tell if it was a clip or somebody pretending to be Donald Pleasance, the old character Loomis. They do posit that this character is pure evil. He's just evil. There's no rhyme or reason to it. He just kills.
Right.
And try as much as you want. You can't understand. It's just there's nothing behind cold black eyes. It's just killing.
Yeah.
And you're right. if this thing was pure evil, why wouldn't it kill this kid?
Yeah,
Why
just to shut it up.
baby?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, not even just to shut it up, just because.
It's breathing.
It would cause misery, right?
Yeah, right.
But, like,
Right.
two things. You come out of this movie, this Halloween movie, having enjoyed it.
Right.
Even those people got killed and maimed, and one guy got his head exploded.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that.
Believe
Okay.
me.
Even though all that stuff happened, like, these lives of these characters was irreparably ruined, some of them killed, maimed, etc., you still enjoy the film.
Yeah.
And you're tense when Michael's on screen, and you're like, you're hoping the characters that you like get away, and for the most part, you know, you're able to root for that, right? Mm-hmm. If he's out there committing like atrocities, right, it's not fun to watch it anymore.
Right. Right.
And like when the movie's over, you're kind of like disgusted.
Like sick to your stomach.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I find a curious thing to put in the movie at all. You could have just cut that entire sequence with he could have just walked from that room, cut to another room.
Yeah.
You didn't have to include the shot of him with the baby, other than just to mess the audience like, oh.
Is he going to do it?
And
Exactly.
maybe that's what it was.
Exactly. I think that's really well done.
Yeah.
The fact that we're sitting here talking about it, that we both were thinking it as he was walking past the crib.
Yes.
Really, that is just, I didn't expect that in a run-of-the-mill slasher movie.
Yes.
Things like that. And there were other examples in the movie where it was just really well written, well directed.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that like all the young people get away scot-free. In fact,
They do not.
in fact, like, you know, that kid of course bites it. But this cast of teens, there's only one in that picture that doesn't get brutally murdered.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, the kids get it especially bad. Like worse than the adults.
Man, that fat kid.
Yeah.
The fat kid who could have played, if you watch Daredevil on Netflix, the fat kid who could have played Foggy.
Oh my god! The first time I saw him, that's who I thought it was.
That was
I
Foggy?
Like, what the hell?
By the way, did you know that Foggy was one of the Bash brothers from the Mighty Ducks?
I did not.
Yeah, he's one of the Bash brothers.
That's hilarious.
Complete non sequitur again. I'm all over the place today. And that kind of contributes to, like, it's the brutality he will show, that Michael Myers will show to a complete stranger.
Right.
There's no screaming. There's like Freddy Krueger is like talking shit to you. He's funny. He's taunting or whatever. But he's silent. He's so silent, and he doesn't even seem to be like really struggling when he does this stuff.
No.
It's so cold. It's so efficient. There's this one tracking shot. I think it's even the same one we're talking about. Where he goes on like a killing spree.
Yeah.
And he's just like picking up items, like killing someone, putting it down, picking up another item, killing someone, putting it down, going from like house to house, walking in and out of people, and they're just not. No one catches on quickly enough that something is wrong, and the whole time you're watching it, and you're like, no, damn it. Somebody call the cops.
Yeah.
So I think I've talked about previously, Hitchcock's idea of suspense and horror was you had to know more than the players on screen. Mm-hmm. So I think that sequence in particular, there's another one at a gas station I thought was excellent as well.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
You know what this guy is. You're watching him go through house to house, and no one else who's around seems to notice this guy is here. Like some kids bump into him, but they like kind of excuse themselves and walk away.
Yeah.
But like no one says, "Why is this 8-foot dude who's carrying a knife?"
Right.
Everyone's kind of caught up in their own nonsense. They're kind of caught up in the antics of Halloween, and you're kind of forced to sit there and be like, everyone get out of there, everyone. And by the time it comes around to some of the characters that you do know, that being, I can't remember my kid's name, but the little black kid and
Boom.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Stole the show.
That
what a
kid
guy.
Was freaking amazing. The interactions with him were fantastic. And it was something I was trying to remember because I was watching and I was like, man, this this character seems so familiar.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that it's somebody. Did you ever see the movie Role Models?
With the
ring a bell?
Yeah, I remember that.
Clearly, somebody saw Role Models and was like, "We want that kid, but he's all grown up now, so we need to find a replacement and give him the same kind of lines." This smart ass little kid, and it was perfect.
Fantastic.
He stole the freaking show.
He was so good, and there's a character, a couple of characters he interacts with. I would have watched like a sitcom with those characters.
It was Julian, by the way. That's
Julian. That's right. It was
Julian.
Yeah, Julian, like the Julian show.
Heck yeah!
I would have watched the Julian show. Like,
damn right.
He was funny.
Yep.
He like, not his lines were funny, but he also was like a good comedian, a good comedic actor. And the rapport he had with that particular actress.
Send him in first.
Yeah, like when it comes time for like Michael Myers to interact with him, you have that genuine dread because you're like, I don't want anything to happen to Julian and this babysitter, and you've seen by this point Michael's killed like, I'm not kidding, like 10 people at this point.
Oh yeah, easily.
Boy, that sequence at the gas station.
Oof, man, yeah, dude.
There's it's almost like you have to pay attention to like the background details of some scenes, whether it be an item or maybe Michael Myers is walking through the background.
Yeah,
it is this kind of horrifying thing of like, this shape, this boogeyman really is around the next corner, waiting to maul you, to eviscerate you. And they do a really good job of of making this guy who's got to be 60-something into a convincing movie monster.
Yeah, for sure. That like Halloween, I guess Halloween within Halloween scene where he's going through the neighborhood, house to house. What I think I mentioned to you, something I really liked, was how they took a stationary camera and let the scene unfold so that it's like you're saying with Hitchcock, you're watching this happen. You're seeing the buildup. Of course, the people in the film aren't seeing it. The characters
completely
aren't.
missing it.
So it's like right here. They have the camera here. You see his reflection in the window. You then he proceeds to walk around the side of the building so you see his shadow through those windows on the right.
That's right.
And then the woman that's in the house walks up to this exact same window. The camera has not moved at all.
That's right.
And then he shows up behind her and proceeds to jab a butcher knife through her neck.
That's right.
And it was just so cool to me that was scary and suspenseful, and the camera didn't have to pan, zoom in, do anything, not even once.
There's no camera tricks. Because there's no camera tricks, because there's, I mean, I'm sure there's special effects used on like the knife going through her neck or whatever. Yeah. Because it's so simply done, I think it helps to highlight just how horrific this concept is.
Yeah.
This person was like on the phone, kind of expressing. She's talking about something.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'll lock the door or whatever, and she like just doesn't see him, and 30 seconds later, the world's worst serial killer is mauling her. Right.
Yeah. It
is a horrific thing. I looked up the body count for this movie.
Oh God, did you?
It's claimed that it's 20, and I think that's 20 that you see on screen.
Okay.
Whether they be dead bodies or people you see him kill, I think 20 is the count.
Okay.
But he's out wandering around for like hours.
Oh yeah.
He could have killed like 100 people.
Yeah, the whole neighborhood could be dead for all we know.
Right. Like it is a very terrifying concept to think like, what if this thing, let's say he's not a man, let's say he is this kind of superhuman thing, let's say he is a man, so he's just a crazy, strong, crazy guy who just loves killing. This guy in the wrong town, the wrong part of town, could walk through these homes where people aren't locking their homes, or maybe they leave one door unlocked.
Yeah, because they're handing out candy or something. Yeah, and
you see later on, he's not spurned by like locked doors. He will burst through a door. He will burst through a lock, and he will wait. Like there's a sequence where he waits in a closet.
Oh yeah,
and like, he must have been there for.
Oh, that's the kids.
He must have been in that closet for hours.
Oh yeah.
I mean, at least
waiting
an hour,
and waiting,
right? Waiting and waiting and waiting. and it just didn't go his way for that particular kill.
Yeah.
But it's like a Hannibal Lecter kind of charms you with like the intellect or whatever, but make no mistake, when he wants you dead, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, right.
This is the same kind of deal, but it doesn't have any of the charm. Has none of the charm and kind of like flourish. He's just there to like beat you with a hammer or rip your face off or whatever he's going to do to you, or explode your head.
Oh yeah, so I've got a photo for that. I thought it was so appropriate the way and I think that my words in the theater were he curb stomped him with no curb.
That's right. That's exactly what you said.
And I thought it was so appropriate for a movie called Halloween that takes place on Halloween that he stomped his head like a goddamn pumpkin. That's what it looked like. This picture basically shows what happened to that guy.
So everything in the movie is pretty realistic as far as like gore levels, power levels. Like it's not like there's a scene in Halloween 6 where it's implied that he's like a supernatural being by this point.
Okay.
Not necessarily like a Superman, but he's like kind of like he's not just a man.
Yeah.
He's like walking through like a gas station and like somebody like runs past him. And Michael Myers like reaches out without looking and snaps this guy's neck and like turns his head like 180 degrees. Like and like his spine like pops out.
Yeah.
Like to like 3/4 of the way through the movie, it's nothing like that. He's like a big guy roughing up smaller people. So maybe he's breaking a jaw, but like it's not. The damage to the body isn't so unrealistic that it's fantastic. It's horrific, but it's not like something you couldn't imagine. A Hall of Fame NFL player to do. If you see like a 50-year-old, 60-year-old guys in the NFL Hall of Fame, a lot of those guys are still in really good shape and could really mess up a regular, normal, everyday human being.
No, I want to see Frank Thomas on his testosterone pills turn somebody's head into that. That's what I want to see.
I have no doubt that Frank Thomas could do that to a healthy human being today.
Yeah.
And when he finally gets that dude down, there's a running thing about about Michael Myers talking. He never talks ever, and everyone's fascinated. Like, what did he say? Did he say anything? And this character's looking up at him, and he's like, "Say something." And I almost thought he was going to say something.
Yeah, like that was going to be the moment.
In like an 80s movie, he would have said like a one-liner or something. Yeah. He'd have been like, shit happens, or whatever, Predator 2 or something. But they never break it. He brings his foot up, and he brings his foot. I thought he was going to like snap his neck or something.
Yeah.
But his head explodes. Explodes in a incredibly gory shot.
Yeah.
Where like, I mean, it was like he popped him.
Yeah, there was nothing remaining that looked like a human head.
No, you see a later shot, and it's like there's like a mask. It's like an empty mask.
Oh yeah,
but there's all this like meat to the top where like it all came out.
Right.
Like as if they like popped. You took a man and like popped him.
Yes.
Like it is just a grotesque shot, but that's really the only real like horrifically. Well, there's a couple of things after that too, but that's when at that point you're either in or you're out. If you're not in by that
you've
point,
either bought in or not.
And by that point, I was all in.
Yeah.
The first time I saw this, I went by myself. The theater was pretty full. You could have heard a pin drop because everyone was on the edge of their seat.
Wow. Okay.
And that guy looks up and says, "Say something," and he stomps down. The head explodes. I actually like exclaimed. I was like, "Ah!" But that's kind of like the beginning of the end of the movie of like, now you're in it. Now you're in like, he's in form. He's going for the final kill, his last kill.
He's made it into the compound.
He's made it in the compound.
Yeah.
It's go time.
Yeah.
And that last sequence. You want to talk about the last sequence now?
Oh well, yeah. Well, actually, one thing I wanted to mention real quick is something that you just brought up. I hadn't thought of because it was something I found kind of weird in the movie. And I think it goes along the same lines, like making him out to be this supernatural kind of being in some way, like his this pure evil idea. I mean, they do throw that around in this movie,
He's
but
nothing
it was
more than pure evil.
Yeah, so it was this scene. If you can see that up on the screen.
Oh yeah.
This was super weird to me because they show this guy who's just, I don't know, kind of inexplicably losing his shit, going, say something,
say something.
You know, it kind of reminded me of like when I guess you have Two-Face in the Dark Knight, like the newer Dark Knight movies, and he's just like, say it! You know, he's just like screaming.
Yeah.
I was like, what is wrong with this dude? Like, you want to interview him, and you're just yelling at him. And but I guess that's beside the point. All the while, they keep cutting to the other. I guess they're not inmates. They're
patients, I suppose.
Patients, whatever. And they're all just going, you know, all of them are
like the dog is going crazy.
Yeah, they're screaming, barking, convulsing.
Yeah.
Like there's this, like the devil has just shown up.
Yeah.
And invaded all of their minds.
You
know, and it was just like, what is happening?
It was that was like, it's a great intro because it's like unnerving and you're not really sure what to make of this movie. And it doesn't really show like in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and before that too, there were like these genre actors who whenever these guys showed up, you knew, oh, we're in for that kind of movie. Oh, this is the guy who's always in those horror movies. This is the guy who's always in those comedy movies. I didn't recognize that guy from being like from a bunch of horror movies. I didn't recognize like, it wasn't like they were doing a bunch of stuff that was like, oh, and this is a supernatural horror movie.
Right.
So, you know, when they're like, oh, well, you know, this dude, so they tell you like where none of the other stuff happened. It's just the sequel to 1978. So like none of the fantastical tropey stuff happened in this universe. Just this dude killed a bunch of people, 30, 40 years ago, and now it's time to reckon with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So to have the sequence where like the dogs are barking and like the birds are flying away and the other patients are like losing their mind and like the music's building, it is like a what the hell is going on? What is this movie?
Right.
And it easily could have been like, this spirit of this demon possesses Michael Myers and it jumps from body to body and it's housed in the mask or something. It could have easily been that, but they steered away from that, and I think that really helped the movie find its legs, being more grounded, at least initially, before they explode people's heads and rip them off their shoulders. And whatnot.
No, I completely agree. I was very glad that they didn't go that route because that scene had me really worried.
Yeah.
Like when they opened, that really was the opening of the movie.
Totally.
And I'm thinking, oh God, is this the route we're going with this?
I can't believe this guy brought me to this movie.
Yeah, he's just gonna be, the devil essentially, the actual devil. But so you were talking about the that last kind of sequence in the compound.
Before we get into that, because I think that's a natural place to end it. Let's talk a little bit about the performances.
Oh, for sure.
Who did you like? Who did you not like? Were there any surprises in the movie?
Oh man, trying to think if there was anybody I didn't like. I don't think there was a single solitary character in the film that I didn't like. Whether it was the kids, the teenagers, who I thought all did an excellent job.
They really did.
Little kids, like
little kids were great.
Yeah, and all like the throwback characters. So like the sheriff that was there originally, I thought he played all that really well.
He was great.
The interactions where like, God, I can't. Did they ever give a name to the cop that always showed up in a cowboy
The black
hat?
cowboy? The inexplicable black cowboy?
That dude was awesome.
I loved him.
Did he ever get a name?
He didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I loved that actor.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I love the character he was playing. Like, we talked about like a sitcom. Like, if that was Julian, it's not Julian's dad, but like if that was, it was Julian's uncle, so he shows up. Oh, Uncle Cowboy shows up or whatever.
Right.
But that's you're right. Like all these kind of supporting actors, either the material they were given, or the characters they were playing, or just their performance was all ended up being pretty strong. None of it was really super annoying. Like the real secret of why slasher films suck normally is you get a bunch of actors playing. Maybe they're actors who are lesser known, so maybe they're not as talented, or maybe they're not as polished. And then you get actors who are playing characters that are written so poorly. They're like scumbag teenagers who are like, look, we were all teenagers. All we wanted to do was party and have sex. Okay, that's not unrealistic, but it's not compelling as a character.
When we were teenagers,
right? But that's not compelling as a character,
right?
And
right.
so you make a bunch of like annoying, sexist characters. You can't help but to want them to get killed. So your movie monster isn't scary. It's fun to watch these assholes get killed,
just get murdered. Yeah,
right.
Of course. Yeah.
Now, in a movie like this, you have these characters who, for the most part, pretty cool, pretty fun to be around.
Yeah.
Even like the asshole character who's caught like cheating.
Yeah.
Right. Up until that point, he's not really an asshole.
He was a good dude. Yeah.
He was like kind of fun to be around.
Yep.
Didn't seem like much of an asshole. So, but you don't even get to see he like disappears.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna get it, he never does.
That was one thing I was trying to remember, like how many of the characters do we never see again? So we never see him again. The boyfriend, the cheating. He made out with a girl. I mean,
careful.
Yeah, I know. So him, Julian. We never see where the hell he goes. Cowboy, cop.
We
never
comes
see
back.
him. Yeah, there are a fair amount of people in it that we never really saw. I don't know. We never saw them really come face to face with Michael,
right,
and have to resolve that encounter, right? But what I will say for sure is a good performance. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was freaking awesome.
10 out of 10,
dude, and she looks amazing. By the way, I believed that she could bring Michael down.
Yeah,
like she had been training and could kill the son of a bitch. I fully believed it.
She's playing kind of like. So one of the things in the old series that when they brought her back for the 20th anniversary, the H2O with LL Cool J, and she was like changed her name. She went to like the other side of the country, and she ends up coming face to face with Michael Myers.
Right, and
then at the very end, like he's like they get in like a car wreck. Like he's like pinned underneath like a tree, and she has this axe, and she has some one-liner and like lops his head off with the axe.
Right.
And after that, they were like, well, we're gonna like retcon it, and we're gonna say it was like somehow in the confusion, Michael put his mask on like the EMT that was driving the van, the ambulance, right, and it was really him. So then we're gonna traumatize Laurie Strode, put her in the insane asylum,
right?
And then, but really, she's like been preparing to confront him again. She's playing like this permutation of that character that's like still focused on killing Michael Myers.
Yeah.
But unlike the kind of fantastical character she's playing in like Halloween Resurrection, she's playing this character that's like stricken with her trauma, her post-trauma PSD trauma. She's like unable to let go of it, and they do a really cool job of showing not all the victims died, and not all the victims have physical scars.
Yeah, well, and I think they did a great job of showing not only what it had done to her, but what it had done to her family. I mean, they show that it had completely... They took her child away, took her daughter away, basically ruined her freaking life dealing with the aftermath of Michael Myers.
Totally.
And that was one thing. It was funny. During the movie, probably middle of the movie, I wasn't sure what to think of... what is it? Judy Greer's performance. That's whenever I hear her voice is all I see. It's just Cheryl. So during the movie, in the middle of the movie, I was like, something's off with her performance. It wasn't until the end that I realized it actually was a good performance because the character was hiding basically her upbringing and
her own trauma
to her own family, and it was all like a cover. And that's when, at the end of the movie, I was looking back at everything before, all the scenes with her before. I was like, that was actually well done. I internally took back my criticism.
but that kind of speaks to the writing of the movie, the production of the movie. Mm-hmm. This could have been as dumb as possible. Mm-hmm. This could have been like another 85-minute. Let's just get a bunch of. Hey, we brought Jamie Lee Curtis back. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers one more time, 30 years later. You could have done that. They didn't.
Yeah.
They wrote this story about like, okay, so what would the survivor be like? What would her trauma look like? What if she tried to have a family? What would her family look like?
Yeah.
And rather than having her be like a trope crazy woman who's like unable to reckon with it, like she does get a chance to confront Michael Myers one more time.
Yeah.
And even in that confrontation, there are a bunch of notes that play off of their first cat and mouse from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to see that final sequence that is nail-biting tense.
Yeah.
Because look, they brought Jamie Lee Curtis back. She's probably the oldest person in the cast. I'd have to double check that against the actor playing Michael Myers.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee she has to make it out.
Mm-hmm.
She's not really even the main character, right?
Yeah.
Like she's one of the main characters, but there's two other women in the same scene who could, if there's to be a franchise, they could be the lead.
Oh yeah. So they've set it up for sure.
She doesn't even have to be in these movies. So every time she's like engaging, she's overmatched. Like, let's be clear. She might be playing like a Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor version of Laurie Strode, but it's still the Terminator, right? It's still Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole sequence is so tense, and you could imagine him being around every corner, and you're kind of waiting for him to be around every corner. It's I really tip my cap to that scene in particular, being like a heart-pounding thrill ride.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it starts, I feel like that whole bit started with the pumpkin, right? So that's when he shows up, smashes his freaking head, kills the cops, and then shows up, and poor Ray, the man. This was actually something that I think we talked about right after we got out of the movie. So he, of course, gets strangled to death from behind. And during the movie, I was thinking, because the scene right before that was this comically goofy scene with him playing with a yo-yo.
A yo-yo, yeah.
Why? It was funny as hell, and I'm not criticizing at all. I thought it was just a hilarious little bit to throw in a devastating horror movie, a slasher movie. But I was thinking, when I saw Michael come from behind and start to strangle him, I thought he was killing him with the goddamn yo-yo.
That would have been such an awesome note.
See, it's too bad. I kind of wish that's what they had done, but
would that have been too funny though? Because that's something that would have happened in like an 80s movie.
Yeah, right? You're right. That may have been something back in the 80s that would have been in there. We all would have been like, oh, look at that dumbass.
Well, like I seem to recall, like maybe it was a Jason movie where like some idiot had like a skateboard, and he like impaled the guy with the skateboard or something.
Right.
Like that's. I think it would have been awesome, but would have been awesome in this movie?
Right.
Maybe not.
A different iteration.
Maybe it was just kind of fun enough to see, like, what asshole is... There is a murderous behemoth, 2 feet away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you...
Anybody that knows Dark Souls knows what that sound is.
Fantastic. Yeah. Like, you really think about, like, you've, like... This monstrous killer has escaped from captivity and is in your town going for your significant other, and you are now in like basically a millennium apocalypse preparation bunker,
right?
House, and you're just goofing around by yourself, not with the others, not, I guess he's got a little 38 special or whatever, but not really telling people what's going on, just fool around with your yo-yo. What an idiot!
Yeah, that one thing I will say, kind of as a lead up to that scene. I don't know if it was necessarily a lead up to that scene. It was kind of undercurrent of the whole movie. When they start showing bits and pieces of like the obligatory montage, you know, it's like we got to show her practicing with the rifle. Got to show like preparing the, you know, all the locks on the doors, all the, you know, the trap in the middle, or the I guess the island opens up in the middle of the kitchen to get down to the bottom. It's like that like montage thing was so 80s to me.
It was.
I was like, this is not really all that necessary, you know. And it's like, you know, I guess it was designed to kind of, let's see if I have the picture here. Yeah, designed to get you to the point where this armory, essentially, that she had assembled in the basement or in her house, that made sense. It's like, here's the montage. She's been practicing. She's a freaking marksman now,
right?
And she's got all these goddamn weapons to take out Michael. But it just felt like it was some of it was a little unnecessary. It's like, we get it. She lives, you know, in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of security cameras and locks. I imagine she's preparing for this. Like, it didn't need to be a big montage segment.
Yeah, maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't. But I think it did. I think it did help me understand that this is a departure from the character. Maybe it was a little bit much, because I mean, I think they give her 3 guns she shoots during that montage.
Right.
Maybe it could have been just one. I think I could have gotten it.
Well, and how about this? Best I can tell, all those goddamn guns stayed in the basement.
Yeah.
Right? So what a great place to put them all, where you wanted to capture him in the first place.
Yeah, that was something that didn't quite make sense to me. There's a point in the movie where, like, they finally have him trapped, but it's down in that crawl space.
Yeah.
And they don't have any other weapons. But it's like, man, if they did, they could rain down, you know, 100 rounds of lead, and he's a sitting duck.
Yeah.
But they don't have any guns.
Yep.
You would have thought that this, like, maybe she never thought it would go down like this. I don't know. But you would think she'd be able to, like, hit like a false panel on the floor, and like a pistol would pop up, and she would hit like the cabinet, and like a shotgun would fall out from underneath it.
Yeah.
You would think she would have like every room be booby trapped like that, but maybe not. Maybe she was like, I don't want any weapons except for down there. I don't know. It
was odd considering the amount of planning she'd gone through. Like, each and every room, the doorway was like a Star Trek style door that just would instantly close. You know, I guess to cordon off the different areas once she'd clear a room. And it was just weird to me that, like, when it came down to the very end, the very end, which was hilarious, by the way. The movie didn't have a whole lot of corny in it, but I thought this was a well done corny
fake out
segment when she's like, "Got you," where she's faking, "I can't do it, mommy."
That's awesome.
I was like, that's cool. It's corny, but it's well done.
Yes,
it's very well done.
I agree.
But I just thought it was interesting that you get to that end point, and it's like, maybe kind of what you're getting at. Maybe she never really truly thought it would get to that point and hadn't really planned that final portion. But at the same time, she must have, because they closed up the damn basement and lit the whole thing on fire. Because, of course, fire is necessarily going to kill everything.
Yeah, that was one thing where, like, well, okay, so let's take it back. This is one of those things where, like, maybe this is a little too meta of a point, but we've seen this movie before. Obviously, he's not going to die, right? And if you stay through the credits, there is. We're deep in spoilers, right? You hear the breathing from inside the mask. It implied that he survived, right? And if you understand that this is the true sequel to the first one, it ignores the other 9 or however many there are, then I think you understand he came back. Even after the times you thought he was dead, he came back. And some of those times it was like, he's definitely dead and he's still back. So we think about horror movies in those terms. But, like, in real life, you don't really think like that. Right?
True, yeah.
In real life,
just be incinerated.
Right, you're like, we didn't find a body. Well, it's going to take you like a year to go through that wreckage, and then you might find some teeth.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's like... It's going to depend on where they take this going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Was this really something that the character should have thought of? Or is this some weird thing where he's going to be a supernatural killer at some point?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm with you. I was thinking through that sequence. It works in the movie as long as you don't think about it.
Right.
The more you think about it, the more it kind of falls apart. And not falls apart completely. It's more of like, well, I'm not sure it would have gone down exactly like this. I buy that the character would have planned for it. I buy that this could have been part of the plan. It just probably would have had a different ending.
Yeah, so it was the combination of all of the guns being down in the cage you planned on trapping him in, and also something that kind of got me, and I tried to notice it more as I could kind of tell the movie was wrapping up, because I just hadn't been noticing it before. But every time they opened up that island, it was like a remote. It was like a garage door remote.
Yeah, definitely.
Just laying on the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
By the way. So they just press a button and a thing would open. It didn't look all that strong, especially for somebody that can turn a head into a smashed pumpkin. I was thinking either he's going to be maybe not totally brain dead and see, oh, there's the goddamn remote on the counter. I'll just press a button. Or
was it on top of the counter when they were in the basement?
See, I think it was.
Whoa.
I would need to watch the movie again, but I don't think it ever moved. It was in the same spot the whole movie. I didn't see anybody pick it up. I saw people pressing buttons.
Yeah.
But anyway, small detail. But I was just thinking,
be fun to look at. Yeah.
Like the way it looked, it just looked like something he could have just ripped off the hinges.
I mean, I hate to break it to you,
but he did.
He did.
But I just mean like it was a slow build up to it, and I was just like, this dude could have just walked in and ripped this off instantaneously. You know.
I mean,
but
it took him a minute, but he got it.
He did. Yeah.
he got it.
Yeah. But it was, I think that entire sequence was well done. It was just that the ending portion, which I understand why they did it the way they did it. But the more you thought about it, it was just like, you have him sitting there like fish in a barrel. Wouldn't you just pump him full of lead, toss like 5 grenades down there?
Right.
Like forget a slow burn. Like, why not disintegrate this?
Yeah, I mean, you drop, you nuke it from orbit, right?
Yeah, of course, right.
So, I agree. So, I have 2 questions. I'll do the less interesting question last. I'll do the more interesting question.
All right.
Do you want to see a sequel? And if you do, do you want it to be like a Michael Myers survived kind of deal, or do you want to see like, we're going to tell similar stories of like threatening things that happen on Hall? You want to see the anthology series that maybe even follows similar characters, or do you want to see the return of Michael Myers?
Oh man, I don't.
Or do you not want to see a sequel at all?
Well, I think you could do. I think you could do a lot with. I mean, you could take Jamie Lee Curtis out of it entirely.
Sure.
It could just be now Judy Greer and her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're watching them, because now, I mean, I guess Judy Greer's character had been dealing with this trauma her whole adult life. Well, not just adult life, her whole life.
Whole life, yeah.
But now this crap's been passed on to her daughter, who's now dealing with it. And you could watch her, maybe against her mother's insistence, watch her turn into a gun nut, you know, like all about self-defense. And, I don't even know if Michael has to be in the movie. It could just be, it could be a copycat, you know, or somebody. Yeah, I don't know. It would be nice. It would be cool to see Michael in it at some point. Maybe not like the focal point or the main villain, but it would be cool to have like a copycat or something. Okay. And then the end of the movie, Michael to show up, shatter that guy's brains and just be like, basically showing this guy's a punk, like wannabe, and then have him carry the rest of the movie or something.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, I could go with that.
Yeah, I could go either way with like seeing an anthology movie or a sequel. I really liked how these guys wrote this. I really like how this director treated it. The performances were genuine. I would love to see something else from these guys. Maybe it doesn't even have to be a sequel to this. Maybe it's more of a in the same vein, like they made those Cloverfield tie-ins that wink wink were Cloverfield, but really. Like I wouldn't mind something like that from these guys. Like I think they've got something. They've got a knack for picking up things and putting in details and doing it respectfully, and then turning out a project that was tense, and it was had some thriller moments, had some horrific moments. I think that's your model for how to do a good horror film that wasn't supernatural or found footage based.
Yeah.
So my second question: what'd you think of that crazy doctor character, the Turkish doctor character,
who suddenly flips and wants basically to feel like Michael, feel what it's like to
make
just
room
murder
for my patients.
Yeah, it was funny because they definitely teased that throughout the movie, that there was something not quite right with that guy, and I don't know. I mean, I've seen that. I think I have seen that. I can't name something particularly right now, but I've seen that in previous, not just movies, but entertainment in general.
Oh, yeah.
Where the caretaker or the doctor or whatever becomes obsessed with the patient or whoever, and it's like, so I don't. I can't really criticize. I thought that was pretty cool. I actually thought that was, and I thought it was very appropriate the way he ended. This guy was idolizing this murderer, and you know what? He wanted some kind of meaning to it, and I think that's one thing I liked about that character was he was approaching it from the scientific side of it. It's he wanted to know what was going on in his head. He wanted to know what it felt like or what the reason was or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know what? This gave him that was the reason.
That's what it feels like.
There was no reason. That was the whole point. It was you're studying this guy. You're trying to find a reason. You're trying to understand it and get sucked into this yourself. It's this pursuit to fully comprehend the mind of a murderer. And guess what? There was no reason. He was just killing.
He's just evil.
Yeah.
He's just evil. I think I agree with you. I really like that guy's performance. He gave this really unsettling performance.
Yeah.
Even when he's not being threatening, there's something about how he was speaking that I was like, there is something more here. And I thought it might have just been eccentricity. He's just playing a weird character. And they even say, you're the new Loomis. By the end of the series, the Dr. Loomis character was a nut. He had facial scarring, and at the end of one of the movies, he used an 8-year-old girl as bait.
Jesus.
And dropped a chain net on Michael Myers and beat him over the head with a piper. It was crazy the stuff that guy was doing. And he was Donald Pleasant, so he's if you've seen Donald Pleasant, he's really good at you're the Duke and he must die, all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy that character. I love the ending he got, but I thought the character was just starting to grow his wings. I wanted to see him be like the handler for him, for whatever reason he will kill everyone except for this guy. This guy will drive him around and buy him food and make sure he's hidden from the authorities or whatever. But I was legitimately oh man, I thought he was gonna be around.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way because as soon as you get the reveal and he busts out the whatever was it, hidden in the pen, the
pen
blade
knife?
he
Whoa.
had, and the blade, and just stabbed him right at the cop right through the eye.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Yeah, it really did kind of feel like that was going to be what you're talking about. This was going to be his inside man. That was going to basically be his civil face to society, and then Mike will be right behind him to murder everyone in the room or something like that. But that's Didn't turn out that way.
He got it bad. He got it. Was that the worst? Was that the worst in the movie? The worst death?
Probably. I mean, I'm trying to think. Most of the other ones were either. I love how blasé I'm like, oh, you're run of the mill, just strangling to death, stab him in the face. But yeah, some of them that were kind of gruesome, you didn't see until after the fact.
That's fair.
Like like Foggy.
Dude, Foggy got it bad.
So I mean, you see him get killed like up against the fence. It's not till the girl runs up that you see he's freaking impaled on it too. So you didn't see it happen.
Yeah.
But and just like what was the stoner's name?
Was it Dave?
Dave. It probably. I think it was Dave.
Dave.
I mean,
David?
he got killed, and it wasn't until after the fact you see he's impaled, like up on the wall, the knife through the freaking mouth, like up on the suspended in the wall, like. So even if you didn't see a gruesome death, they died really terribly. I think the doc by far got it the worst.
For me, the doc is number one.
Yeah.
I think there's a close second.
Yeah.
It's another one of those ones you don't see. Those two cops that roll up on the truck after the doc's been exploded.
Oh, God. Yeah, yeah.
When you see him next, it's just a head.
Mm-hmm.
With a flashlight
like a
in the mouth, like a jack-o'-lantern.
Oh, that was bad.
And that's the only reason I think it might be worse, to have your head turned into an actual jack-o'-lantern.
And you know what's super funny about that? Again, how disgusting I sound just describing this like it's funny. They showed it so quickly that if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even know what it was.
You might have missed it.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know. It, like, you see the shape of, like, eyes and mouth, but then it cuts away.
Cuts away pretty quick.
So, yeah, you really had to be, like a lot of things, like that gas station scene with him in the background just pummeling the fool. If you weren't paying attention, there was a lot to miss.
You might have missed exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Those cops and their banh mi sandwich exchange.
That was hilarious. And you know what? That has to be McBride. That just sounded like it came right out of McBride's mouth.
But that's like... That's the stuff in a lesser movie. It'd be something annoying. You roll your eyes and be like, thank God the supernatural killer's here to pull their spines out.
Yeah, right.
And to show them their intestines, right?
Finish him.
Yeah. But because they were kind of charming, you're like, oh, no, not these guys, too.
Yeah.
Well, yes, these guys, too.
Yeah. In a horrific fashion.
Horrific fashion. I think that wraps it up for me. Anything else you want to say about this one?
I think we've covered all of the bases.
You want to give it a letter grade?
Oh, man.
I feel like this one actually passed the test, so we can give it it's not an incomplete film.
Right. Well, you opened. I'll let you give the first grade.
I'm going to give it an A-.
A-. Okay.
It wasn't perfect, but it was damn close.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I would change about it, but there were a couple times I was like, this is pushing it a little bit, or maybe it's dragging just a little bit. It's really good, though.
Yeah.
An A-.
Yeah, there were the scenes every once in a while. I think I mentioned to you, whether it was the say it,
Say something.
or like where the girl is running through, and I feel terrible just calling her the girl. I just genuinely don't remember.
I can't remember her name either.
The granddaughter's name, but when she's running through the forest. And then comes across all the mannequins, right? That her grandma's been shooting.
Yeah, for like her target practice.
Yeah, and it just like zooms into it, and zooms into another one, and zooms into another mannequin, and she just goes, ah! Just like screams. Just for seemingly no reason. It's like, girl, they're just mannequins.
They're just mannequins.
That
you
scene,
didn't see it as cuts. You saw like mannequins.
Yeah, and I was like, had bits and pieces like that where I was just kind of rolling my eyes, but by and large, I thought they did a fantastic job with a genre I generally don't find that interesting.
There you go.
So I would say, for me, I guess another thing I would say is that unlike a lot of the movies we've talked about, a lot of them do too much. They try to do too much, or they end up doing too little. I thought this one did exactly what it needed to.
Okay.
To be entertaining. I mean, it was only like an hour and 40 minutes or something like that.
Is that right?
Not a long movie.
Wow.
It felt longer, not in a bad way. It felt like it was just a well fleshed out flick that had everything that it needed to.
Right.
It didn't try to be something that it couldn't.
Right.
Like some other ones we've seen.
Some other ones.
And it didn't fall short with, like, you know, not giving you enough information to follow. Like, I'm the perfect example. I haven't watched any of those movies except, you know, maybe the first couple. Didn't matter. Like, you could easily pick it up. You knew exactly what the rules were, what was happening, why this guy was bad. Needed no more explanation. So, yeah, I would say... I'd give it an A.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that sounds like it's a passing grade from both of us. We haven't had one of these since Wonder Woman.
I know, right? How insane is that?
F and A, man. Well, hey, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I'm gonna sound the horn of Gondor, and we're gonna be out of here.
All right,
thanks,
y'all.
guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and who knows? We'll see what we're going to be reviewing next.
Right on.
Next installment of Sly and JBell review motion pictures.
Hell yeah.